AOC saying that she could have died at an event where people died is a bigger story than Officer Sicknick. Here's proof that AOC's life was definitely in danger on January 6th. Just like her Republican colleague who tried to imply that AOC was exaggerating. Meanwhile, this Republican representative had barricaded herself in her office, which was just down the hall from AOC. So she barricaded herself in her office just down the hall from AOC. Meanwhile, AOC's idea of thinking she could have died is ridiculous. Anyway, take a look at the map. So here's the U.S. Capitol right here. The office from AOC's office would be right here in this building. It's not a secret location. A simple Google search will show you where she is. So a group of people who had blueprints of the Capitol were able to find quote unquote secret offices of people inside of the Capitol, which is supposedly very sort of complex. You can kind of get lost in there. They found Nancy Pelosi's office, which is another office that's hard to get to. So these people that had that level of information, I mean, I saw one video where there was a lady on one of those megaphones and she's saying, you know, there's a room beneath there and you got to go through the glass and da-da. These people with that level of information, you don't think they knew where AOC's office was, that you can simply Google search and see it on the maps? And AOC is a huge target. On the right, a lot of their anger is put at AOC and Nancy Pelosi. AOC represents the radical left part of the left, right? So anytime they're talking about China and communism and destroying this country, AOC would be at the heart of that. So if you're going to attack the Capitol and talk about let's hang Mike Pence and, right, end up getting shot in the face, going through a window where everyone's saying guy has a gun, but you're willing to risk your life to do what? What were they planning on doing? I'm sure they just wanted to have a talk, right? This is an incident that we have now 6 people dead. Anyway, there's the Capitol. There's AOC's office. Now, let's use cell phone data to track the movement of the people that were there on January the 6th. From Trump's speech to the march to the Capitol. Let's see if anyone tries to pay AOC potentially a visit. To be clear, we don't know what anyone's doing. We can't say what people were doing simply by looking at their locations. However, if we are able to identify that part of the crowd went to AOC's building, then at a minimum, we knew that there was a very direct and specific risk to her. Never mind the fact that there were 2 bombs placed much further away than the Capitol or this office. So she was deep in the danger zone. Danger zone! She was deep in the danger zone. There were bombs set much further away, and she was right across the street from the Capitol. But let's actually look at the data. Let's see where the people were and see if they got close to AOC's office or not, right? Because people on the right would like to, as usual, play their games and pretend like it was just 300 people, which could easily just take up this small area here. Just a small group of people. Imagine there's 300 people here, and even across the street, you're all freaking out, right? 300 people here. You look out your window, you can't even see them because the side of the Capitol building's blocking the way, right? That's the image that, you know, people like Tim Pool and perhaps Blaze TV, the Hodge twins, whoever made their videos, right? Tons of stories about the Capitol attack that came out. They didn't report on it. All the arrests of police officers, military, they're trying to sell Nancy Pelosi's laptop, right? The people who, Pelosi's fridge they talk about, right? Talk about her in the salon. And now they talk about AOC saying that she could have died. You know, oh my goodness. She's just exaggerating. Let's not play games and pretend like we don't see a very strong and consistent message that conservative media would like to erase history of what happened on the 6th. You don't accidentally ignore dozens and dozens and dozens of stories. Didn't even cover the memorial for the officer, that the real patriot that gave his life. Didn't even cover that live stream. Didn't even really talk about it that much. But AOC says, I might die. All of a sudden, that's an explosive story. There are conservative channels that have posted by now 3 videos. 3 videos. Tim Pool is one of them who has posted multiple videos. AOC this. Actually, he started his posting, I think, weeks ago. When she first said she thought she might die, he jumped on that. Now he's jumping on, and she wasn't even in the Capitol. Right? They ignore all these stories, but they let's listen. Even if you're conservative, maybe you voted for Trump, right? That's irrelevant. That's fine. If that's how you feel, that is fine. We're all entitled to have our opinions and vote our conscience. But you cannot deny massive amounts of actual, like, remember before the election fraud, it's like affidavits. Meanwhile, tons of them were submitted anonymously on a website, so we don't even know who submitted them, right? But the image was tons of evidence. We look at the evidence, you're like, wait a minute, but these are anonymous people. This is what you call tons of evidence. Dozens and dozens of stories post 6/16 or January 6th and January 7th, because those are the days where most conservative media would have posted their videos. Then it went silent. Dozens of storylines, all pretty much ignored. AOC says that she felt like she could have died, and then you find out that she was exactly where she said she was, in her office and not in the Capitol. That's a big story. AOC went on Instagram claiming that she was in her office, and now we find out that she was in her office and not in the Capitol building. This is the most explosive story of 2021. You can be conservative, you can like Donald Trump, but you cannot deny how ridiculous this is. The obvious trying to suppress these stories. Let's look at the data. There's the White House. These are smartphone locations in DC. This is 7:58 in the morning. Capitol building, lower right-hand side. AOC's office would be right here in the lower right-hand side corner. We want to pay attention to any cell phones that come in this area right here. That will be right in front of where AOC is. So 7:58 in the morning, people are gathering over here. Somewhere over here, I believe, is where Trump is going to make his speech. So you can see Trump supporters attending the rally right here. This is 9:05 a.m. Now they're starting to make their way down to the Capitol building. This is 12:38 p.m. There's the Capitol building. We see a little bit of people starting to show up, but most of them are still leaving the earlier rally. So now, as you can see, it is 1:26 p.m. You can see a ton of people are mainly on this road. Some are on that road. They are already gathering in large numbers in front of the Capitol. There's a primary group in front of the Capitol. There's starting to be a smaller group in the back of the Capitol. And there's a small group on the AOC side of the Capitol. This is 1:26 p.m. Now we see there is a sizable group of people that are right here, basically in front of the AOC building. Now keep in mind, it's 2:24 p.m. This data is based on the available data we have from cell phones that were there on that date. So consider that there's a lot more people here that we can't see. And pretty much just about everyone has cell phones today, but we may not have the information on some cell phones for various reasons. Also consider how massive the crowd was of people there. You saw the videos. This to me is not representative of the size of the crowd. I feel like there were a lot more than what we see here. Look at the size of this crowd and look at the videos that you see. And I'm pretty sure you'll agree that if we feel like there was a lot more people there. Bitcoin going up again. $50. Go. Submit. We're at 2:48 p.m. So keep an eye on right in front of AOC's office right now. Remember the lower right-hand side of the screen. And you're going to see, see a few people. You see that group of people? And notice that they are a considerable distance away from the Capitol building. There's a gap between them and the Capitol building. What are they doing there? They're in front of AOC's building, and they're in front of the building to the left of that building as well. That's a good size of a good sized crowd. Look at all these people right there. So do you still think that AOC is a fraud for claiming to be in her office? And then we find out that she was actually in her office, and then claiming that she thought she was going to die when this is an incident that involved eventually 6 people dying, right? A massive mob, a woman who's gotten death threats and all this kind of stuff. She's a target, and now she's in a building that's getting evacuated. She's got colleagues that are in QAnon, right? She's got colleagues that are in QAnon, and QAnon symbology is all over this crowd. And there's a crowd right in front of her office, exactly where she said she was. So you explain to me why AOC saying that she thought she could die in an event where multiple people died and she was certainly a target and it was a massive mob forming. Tell me if you think that this story is more important than the dozens and dozens of stories that conservative media have been ignoring for the last few weeks. You explain that to me. This story is more important than people who were at the rally wearing things that say 6 million Jews were not enough. Anti-Semitic. Ben Shapiro doesn't even want to talk about that. Tell me that AOC saying she thought she almost died is more important than someone stealing Pelosi's laptop and trying to sell it to a Russian. That story is not even worth going the angle of the Russia. Oh, everything's Russia. And trying to challenge it, and then what is it? Who is saying this, and where is it coming from? Like, that's not even worth discussing. Off limits. Tell me that this is more important than covering the memorial of Officer Sicknick, who died, gave his life for his country. Tell me this is more important. AOC saying that she could have died at an event where people died is a bigger story than Officer Sicknick, who lost his life in this event. Bonus content. There are also tunnels from the Capitol building to AOC's office. If the Capitol is compromised and the Capitol has a path to the building that she was in, what is your analysis of the threat level to AOC and the reasoning behind evacuating her building as well? If you were in this building and you knew that you were a specific target, and you knew that this building was compromised, and there was a direct tunnel from that building to your building, what would be your perspective? And might you be a little bit paranoid? Somebody comes banging on your door. Is that a cop or a savage looking for you? And if it's a cop, is it one of the cops that opened the gates? Is it a QAnon cop, Trump sycophant? Is it a cop like one of the cops who were part of the riot, who attended the riot? Comment below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well.